Kaiju Kamish.
Good.
Here we go.
It disappeared. I'll have to look at it later.
Just good. I hope they make a legit comic book with it.
I can kind of see Randy's screen through his glasses.
Do you see all the pornography?
I see all the yabos.
What up, nerds? Welcome to another strange intro here at Straight Chilling PodcastHQ.com. Yada yada. My name's Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is going to be episode number 194, recorded on Tuesday, December 18th, 2018. Tonight we're going to be talking about Christmas Evil. Before we get into the review, let me introduce you to all these mother truckers on the show. First up, calling in from Santa Barbara, California, my boy Randy Gaddy G-Landy.
Oh ho goddamn ho from Santa goddamn Barbara. You guys ready for some Christmas Evil tonight?
Yeah, son.
I'm excited to talk about this movie.
Sucker Free Tuesday.
I'm really not selling it, but I am, I swear.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if you were being sarcastic or not. Last but not least, calling in from Southern California, my boy Soul Juice Stains.
What up? It's your boy Santa Stains. Ho ho ho, bitches.
I didn't know you were in Southern California too.
Well, I know.
Southern. We are all in various southern regions.
Yeah, can't get out of the South. Just different South.
Yeah, the
South
dirty
Korea.
South. We're always keeping it dirty, boys.
Oh yeah.
Slightly different. Gentlemen. You know, this is like our official Christmas episode. This is gonna go up just before Christmas. Are we in the Christmas spirit? Are we feeling happy and jolly this evening?
I don't know about that, but I'm in the spirit, sure. Like,
all right.
Jolly is in the eye of the beholder. That's what I always say. But yeah, this actually, there's a lot of like Christmas related shit around here. There's a town called Santa Claus about, I don't know, like 10 minutes outside of town. I don't know why, but there's somebody named their town Santa Claus, California, and
town.
The town, and we also went to this place recently called Salvange. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but it's basically like fashioned in the sensibilities of like a Danish village, and it's very Christmased out like crazy. And we went, and there's like a Christmas year-round store and shit. Anyway, so yeah, I got like through these various means, I've been fucking Christmased intensely so far this year.
Yeah, actually, it's my Wednesday, so on Friday, it's the day before I leave to come back to the States, and we are having a massive Christmas party where a ton of our old students are like coming back to celebrate Christmas. And as a result, there's a store here called Daiso. It's pretty much like the Dollar Center and Target, but like in a 2-story store, pretty much. It's kind of like a dollar store, but like to the max. And our coworkers pretty much bought out their entire Christmas section, and it looks like somebody puked out like Christmas all over our house, which was really cool when it snowed, because even we had these like pretty dope trees in our yard. And so they put like ornaments all over that and everything. So when it snowed, it legit looked like this like Christmas.
No.
Like after that, it should be pretty cool.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, you froze up a little bit.
Did I freeze?
You froze. Oh, how the tables have turned.
I know.
So we're recording this episode a little bit earlier in the week than we usually do, because there's going to be a lot of international traveling this weekend. But our boy Joe Bobby Briggs coming back this Friday for a very Bob Christmas. Richard
My boy Richard Bibbs is swinging back into town.
Dickie
Bibbs.
Bibbers.
Seems like we were just watching his old crusty ass
Ricky
talk
Dicky
about
Bibby.
some things.
Yeah,
were.
man. We
I
gotta
am.
we
I'm
gotta have
stoked.
to live tweet that shit a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
make it
lit.
through 2 movies guaranteed, and I'll probably fall asleep.
It's gonna be when I'm flying through the air.
Yeah.
When engagement collapses on Friday night, you guys can all at Rob and make sure he knows he's a failure.
Sleepy
I'm
ass
gonna-
motherfucker.
I'm gonna ask my stewardess if I can get the Dick Bibbs stream going on this plane. See how that goes over.
You will
Man,
not
can
be
you get me
returning home.
that live stream of Dick Bibbs, please?
Do you have any Dick Bibbs, man? My
Before
dick is filthy.
Before the word dick exits your mouth, she's gonna electrocute you with a fucking taser. They don't have any of that shit no more.
No, Mo. Gentlemen, we've got some housekeeping to tackle real quick. It's getting down to the wire for the January poll pick. If you support us on Patreon at the $5 level or above, you can vote amongst 3 films, one of which we will talk about come the month of January. The movies that are up there you can vote on are The Descent, Pieces, and Scanners. Last week it was a dead tie. Currently, The Descent has pulled ahead. So you've got till December 31st to vote on that. We have the $10 level for the month of January, February, and March, in which, if you join at that level, you'd be able to pick a movie for us to review. Any movie that you so choose, we will talk about. That is up and running. Two spots have been taken out of the 5, so there are 3 remaining spots. If you're not a math wizard, I'll go ahead and do that for you. 3 remaining spots.
Thank you.
So if you want to pick a movie for us to talk about within the first 3 months of 2019, hop on it. Get them while they're hot. Get them while they're hot. We also have a new patron that we need to shout out. A brand new patron. Hallelujah.
From down under, I believe, right?
From down under. Good Sir Brendan, a.k.a. Timsy.
Cool.
Timsy.
I wonder if he knows our boy Shane.
I wonder.
Everybody in Australia knows each other, right? That's how it goes.
That's how
works.
it goes.
that-
Racists.
It's a very small place. Incredible.
How do we know if there's any bogans involved in this? I want to know. We need to get a second opinion on bogans as they relate to cooters. Shane's been doing us good, but I would love to hear a second opinion from the deep South under.
To see if it's if a bogan, the term bogan is like well known, if it's used in daily conversations.
We
I
gotta
need
make
to
sure
know-
Shane has not misled us.
Right.
We just really need to we've gotten the cooter profile sort of locked in a little bit. Now we need to figure out what this bogan situation is going to look like.
We're going
The bogan
international.
profile.
I gotta see what's going on in South Korea. See if we can track down that.
See if there's a name.
Field reporter juice stains on his cooter hunt.
Oh, we got to send some cooter stickers down under. Get them
Yeah,
out there.
I think I sent one to Shane. I'll be sending one to good Sir Timsy as well.
Cool.
Last but not least, as far as housekeeping is concerned, we're having our Q&A session on episode 200, which is just in a few weeks. So if you have any burning questions for any of us on the show regarding horror or otherwise, go ahead and send them in to us through one of our various social media platforms, and we will Q&A that bitch on episode 200.
We are interested in all of your burger questions. Any burger questions you have, send them our way.
Burger questions.
How many are we doing okay on that, or do we need do people really need to step up their game? How urgent is this?
We got a few, but we need more. We definitely
Come
need
on,
more
guys, we got to do a
like
whole episode.
a full segment. Yeah. Do our job for us. Give us.
We're
stuff
gonna
to
cut
talk
off the
about.
slack for a month, and then people are really just gonna be really bringing in the questions. Then we'll just cutting everybody
That's
off.
true. Any questions arise in Slack, we'll save them and not answer them.
Just
You know what?
We'll
you'll
say,
have-
I
you'll
don't
have-
know.
Let me think on it for 7 weeks exactly. Or 6
I would-
6 weeks.
I would like to say a big thank you We have got a lot of YouTube subscribers since the last episode where we pleaded with you to subscribe to us. I'm trying to check, and also too, like at the beginning of the month of October, we like didn't have any subscribers because we didn't have any content. That's when we started the 31 days of Halloween. I can't. Right now, we're up to almost 30. Good. So almost 30. A bunch of people have subscribed this week, maybe close to 10 because I think we're around the 20 mark. So I appreciate that. We got to get to 100 if we want to designate a URL, so it's a lot easier to find us. So please check us out on YouTube. We've got all the new episodes have a video stream on them too. So if you want to watch us talking about some bullshit, then hit subscribe, check us out, please.
Do it. Thank you. That's it. That's it for the housekeeping. Let's go ahead and get into what we've been watching this week. Randy, what you been watching?
Oh, what have I been watching? I've been nothing substantial really. Becky started watching a little program called This Is Us. Are you guys familiar with this program?
I think so.
Yeah. How much do you know about this program, Rob?
Hang on, it sounds familiar.
I watched one episode and it's like super. It's like it exists to pull on your heartstrings, as far as I understand.
Uh-huh.
It's like a tear jerker kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a melodrama for sure.
Yeah.
And unsurprisingly, Becky has latched on it like a dying man latches onto a bottle of Gatorade. So I mean, it's on.
Electrolytes.
And so I've been watching a little of that, which it's fine. It's a well acted show, and it really does that thing where it pulls on your heartstrings by just neglecting to tell you vital information about the characters until the end of the episode, where you're like, oh, it turns out that she was sad about this the whole time, and then you get to be sad too. So I did that. Yeah, I know. Big fucking fireworks there. I've been playing Smash Bros. Pretty good. That fucking adventure mode on Smash Bros. Is great. It's everything I want out of it.
Oh, I'm so conflicted. I think when I get back from Christmas, I'm just going to go on this crazy spending spree because I want to Switch so I can play Smash Bros. And I want a fucking PlayStation because Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out. I also want to play Spider-Man and God of War, but I have an Xbox, so I'm like, God damn, I got to buy 2 new stations.
I am like, it's been a long time since I've discovered that I'm far too cheap to be a gamer. And I think like the series that put me to the test really are always Zelda, which I always give in on, and then Smash Bros, and then like Kingdom Hearts is pretty high on that fucking list too.
I know,
especially because
man.
It's been years since since Kingdom Hearts 2. How many years? Like
10 years.
Yeah. And they've been making a lot of like weird like middle ground games since that have not really interested me. But I mean, God, I love that shit growing up so much. That first game blew my dick right into the water.
The trailer looks awesome too, man. Yeah, me and you, we used to both play those first 2 games a lot.
Yeah. So I feel you, but that is a shit ton of money you're going to be spending.
I know. I might have to pace it out. If anything, like since I have Breath of the Wild on the Wii U that I already have, I'd probably go for the PlayStation first. So maybe I can space it out a scotch.
Yeah.
I don't understand the words you're saying.
Scotch. So scotch is kind of like a little bit, you know. It's kind of like a, you know, it's like a slang term for a little, you know, space it out a little bit.
Breath of the Wild, so maybe I'll just go for the PlayStation first.
I guess, actually, if you took that phrase out of context, it kind of sounds like we're talking about like poetry or something.
It's so bougie the way Rob presents it.
Is a PlayStation some sort of dilder? Is that...
It's a station full of dilders.
No, that sounds like fun. I'd buy one too, actually.
Just one?
Well, it's got several as far as I understand.
The fun is the community, Rob. You got to have 2 so that you can, you know,
play with
back
your
and
friend.
forth.
Randy, have you been watching anything else?
No, let's call that it.
Okay. Soul Juice, what you been watching?
I watched another Netflix horror movie called Cargo. It's got your boy Bilbo Baggins, Dildo Baggins.
Yeah, boy.
Um,
Baggins.
Hobbit heads out there to recognize this guy.
yeah. And it also reminded me how much I didn't like that Ghost Stories movie, or how like so plain it was to me. I was like, oh,
Wait,
yeah.
so what did you think of Cargo? Was it much better, or was it?
Well, the thing is, it's interesting. It's a zombie movie. It's set in Australia, though. Kind of like in the wilderness, like the outback kind of Australia. And it's hard for me these days to like get excited about a zombie movie anymore, like new zombie movies.
Yeah.
But it had some like interesting aspects to it, like that are kind of different from other zombie films. But that's the thing these days. Like there's so much that every zombie movie has to have like something, and you're like, oh, what is this movie presenting as far as a zombie? So it is interesting. It's my own just jaded bias, It's just too oversaturated right now. But overall, like it was a pretty like solid film. It's just hard for me to like have too much interest in zombies these days, unfortunately, which is kind of a bummer. But so I watched that, and I also watched. I had never seen. I'm trying to catch up a little bit. I watched Coco. Been missing like the past like few kind of like Pixar movies. Coco is on Netflix, and it's really interesting. So here in Korea, sometimes like I can't watch Finding Dory is also on Netflix, which I haven't seen because it's straight Korean and I can't change it. So it's because it's an animated film and like a popular one, it's dubbed in Korean already, and I can't switch it on Netflix. But Coco is not. But what is super interesting to me, it's in English, but all of the lettering, like, and I'm not talking about lettering like just like text over the screen. I'm talking about like texturized lettering in the movie. Like if there's a sign in the movie, or like, any kind of writing in the actual movie, it's changed to Korean.
Wow.
So like they go through, like the dead people like go through customs or whatever. Like it's about like, the Day of the Dead, and like they go through customs, and like the custom sign, like everything is like in Korean, like texturized, like it's on a piece of wood or it's
localized.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like, but it's all in English. But even like the title screen, like Coco, it was like in Korean. I was like, that's so interesting to me, like how
I guess they don't want to
go up through the time to like change local like languages.
Dude,
I guess
any movie that like Disney's putting out at this point is pretty much going through a localization process for every market. I mean, there's like they're really hitting those international markets hard in every way they can.
And those are the only movies, like when The Incredibles came out this summer, those are the only movies I have to be careful about, because sometimes they will already be in Korean. So I have to look specifically for the ones that are in English with Korean subtitles, because all the animated movies, they just come out because they can easily just overdub them or whatever.
I remember reading somewhere that movie, the one with all the emotions in the little girl's head, the Pixar movie, Inside Out, yeah. That it was localized like so granularly to the point where, like at one point there's a scene where the girl is like doesn't want to eat her broccoli or something like that, and they have this whole scene about that. And in other markets, they change the food to whatever is like disgusting to kids of that culture. Like they literally rendered entirely different options.
I think you're right. Funny enough that you say that is because we have a local place. It's kind of it's called Soul Forest. So it's kind of like a Central Park, but it's smaller or whatever. Mm-hmm. But every fall they do a series where they show free movies in the park. So they get this like big inflatable screen or whatever, and they put it up. And Inside Out was one of those. And we went, and it was already in Korean since it was a Pixar movie. So it was that. And I think you're right. I think they do change a lot of those things. And it was interesting because I had already seen the movie before. So we watched it all like in Korean language, but just seeing like some of the like subtle changes that they make and stuff for localized markets. Super crazy. But Coco is
Yeah.
good. Coco is good. I haven't seen like a new Pixar movie in a bit, and I thought Coco is solid.
I agree.
I still gotta watch it. Hadn't seen it. Anything else, Juice?
No, that's it.
Cool. I watched a movie called Extremity, which is yet another Dread Central Presents joint. Like I said, recently I kind of been working through their catalog this year, since it's sort of like a new label. They put out about 10 movies this year, and I've watched almost all of them. I'm trying to round it out before the end of the year if I can. Extremity is basically about this chick who goes into an extreme haunt, specifically to like confront whatever fears she has. So some of the more extreme haunts, like even in real life, not specific to this movie, they'll like interview you beforehand and find out like what terrifies you the most, and then kind of gear the haunt experience towards those things. So it's kind of personalized. So this movie starts off kind of like that, and she has to go get like a psych eval and kind of get a note from the doctor saying that she's mentally and physically fit to go into this extreme haunt. She kind of fudges the note though, as she is not mentally fit. So she lies and goes into this haunt, and instead of like the haunt being too overwhelming for her, she sort of ends up being too overwhelming for the people running this haunt. So
That sounds awesome.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
I love that. Actually, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. Yeah, it's as she's working through the haunt, like one thing that I kind of wish they leaned more into, like the stuff that they were putting her through wasn't as extreme as I kind of hoped it would be. But she definitely kind of goes ape shit. So it's a cool premise, and they did a pretty good job with it. And I definitely think it's worth checking out.
It's got to be better than Hell House 2.
I didn't see that one. Unfortunately, I heard
Oh,
bad
boy.
things.
Oh boy, we can
Yeah.
talk about it another time.
Yeah. All right. I've also been watching season 2 of Ozark, which is a Netflix original show.
Oh, how is it?
Jason Bateman. Dude, it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm on episode like 8, I think. I was kind of lukewarm on season 1. I thought it ended pretty strong, but the beginning I was kind of lukewarm on. So far, I like season 2 a lot better. It's like pretty damn solid all the way. Yeah, I
like
recommend
season
it.
1 quite a bit. So I guess I've
Yeah,
been
I think season 2 is an improvement. So check that shit out. Show. That's it for me. Let's go ahead and get into the main event and talk about Christmas Evil. Kick it off with the back of the box. The plot synopsis for Christmas Evil is as follows. A toy factory worker, mentally scarred as a child upon learning Santa Claus is not real, suffers a nervous breakdown after being belittled at work and embarks on a Yuletide killing spree. Christmas Evil from 1980, directed by Lewis Jackson. Also, I feel like that plot synopsis is a little misleading. So,
maybe.
Yeah, we can get into the details of that later, I guess. First time watch for all of us, right?
Yeah, definitely
Oh,
first time
yeah,
watch for me.
For sure. It's not the first time I've seen this premise play out, though. Obviously.
For
This
any
is
for anyone, like if you're having trouble finding this movie or like you want to watch along with the cast, it's a little obscure. I think I found it on YouTube though. Like I watched it all on YouTube. Yeah, so you don't need to like buy some crazy copy or whatever. It's up there.
It's relatively easy to find on Blu-ray. Vinegar Syndrome put it out. It's like $20 or something like that. But yeah, it's on YouTube for free. Check that shit
There's
out.
an app. There's an app on Roku called Tubi, Tubi, that has a bunch of like free and sometimes obscure movies that had it on there. It's like commercials on there, but it worked out pretty well.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
was
there's plenty of ways
searching
to
for it, and so if you want to watch along with the cast and it's like last minute, you can just hop on YouTube real quick.
Nice. So, would you guys recommend people check this out? Randy, why don't you kick us off?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess so. It's I don't know. I am partial to Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is occurred 4 years after this one, or came out 4 years after this movie. But it kind of hits some of the same pleasure points for me, just not quite as many, I would say. I think for seasonal horror, I mean, this is definitely seasonally appropriate. So, I mean, if you're going for a Christmas horror, yeah, you're going to get Christmas in this one for sure. I think this one is actually like leans more into like the spirit of Christmas than most of the Christmas themed horror movies that I've seen, which makes it kind of unique in my mind. But I can't think of one that really leans quite so hard into it, except for maybe like Krampus or, maybe like Krampus or Christmas. What is it? Not Christmas Story, a Christmas horror. I don't know. I think some movies do that, but this one really kind of leans into it pretty hard.
Yeah.
So yes.
What about you?
I would recommend. I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. It's I would recommend it. It's I'll break it down more in my review, but the ideas of Christmas behind it, like I don't know, I just thought it was done well for a Christmas horror movie. It's pretty cool.
All right, I'm gonna give it a soft recommend.
Okay.
It was okay.
Interesting. Okay. Holy shit! How the tables have turned.
I thought I would like it. I thought I would like it.
Just having a Freaky Friday.
I don't know. So. It definitely had that like Christmas feel, but it didn't deliver on the craziness. It didn't fulfill what I wanted it to fulfill. Anyways, so I'll recommend. You could definitely do worse for a Christmas horror movie. It's aight. But yeah, we'll go ahead and drop the spoiler warning and get into the full shebang. All right, gentlemen. Christmas Evil.
So I can see what you're saying, Bob. That makes a little more sense. I kind of agree with you on some of the stuff. Like it didn't deliver a little bit on what was promised. Because it definitely doesn't have as many like kills or like interesting kills that like Silent Night, Deadly Night would or something like that.
They kind of they cover the harder part pretty thoroughly, and by that I mean like the character development. Like they really give you a lot. They fill in like the psyche of this man pretty well.
Yeah.
And then they give you like one or two kills, and then they kind of tease you with it, and then it just sort of ends. If they had like another 5 kill scenes or something, I probably would love this movie.
I kind of wish he maybe went to like the factory or something and did that whole where he works or whatever. Because this is a guy who so the first scene is him as a kid, which man, I think this movie does a lot of stuff well as far as like craziness goes. Like people, so there's this kid and he's going to like watch Santa Claus, and essentially it's his dad like dressed up as Santa Claus, but they don't know.
It's Christmas Eve 1947, and they kind of sneak down the stairs and they see Santa leaving presents, but it's their father.
Yeah, so they go back up to bed, and like the older brother's like, "Oh, it's dad" or whatever, and the other kid just like he wants to like believe in Santa Claus or whatever, so he's like, "No, it's not." So he goes back, like, "Oh, it's really Santa Claus." But by then, the dad is like feeling up the mom, which is really.
It looks like he's like quietly whispering into her vagina. It's bizarre.
What do you want for Christmas this year? No,
but
he's
like
straight
the mom's
up
really digging on it.
Yeah.
But that's and that's like the inciting incident for his psyche, I guess. He wants to believe in Santa Claus, but then turns out Santa Claus like eats pussy of his mom, and that's it. Like that's all it takes for a lifetime of psychosis centering around Santa Claus. I don't think. See, I kind of disagree with I see what you're saying, but I think I disagree to the point that his psyche is well defined or whatever. I don't think that's quite true. I mean, at least not it in terms of like the reasoning behind his actions. Like he says some shit.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like nuts, but he plays nuts fine. And he acts like a goddamn Looney Tune. He's like Daffy Duck for the first half of this movie. It's fucking weird, and it's enjoyable to watch, but it's not as enjoyable as if he would then take that psychotic break to, an axe or something and start hacking people up. Like it doesn't, like, I agree that it doesn't quite fulfill that like murderous Santa. The Christmas evil part doesn't really kick in for some time. It's mostly just Christmas creepies. Like,
well, and here's what I really dug about the film and what it was able to do, as opposed to like a Silent Night, Deadly Night, where the guy, like in that movie, like, there's a Santa Claus who like robs and kills his family or whatever. So, so he just has this thing with Santa Claus. What I like about this movie that's different is it's kind of one of those things where, like, when you grow up with certain thoughts and certain traditions and even like certain like religions and stuff like that, and it's just a part of your life, and then somebody from the outside comes in and makes you realize like just how strange those kind of things are. Things that you don't, you've like lived with them your whole life and you never really stop and think about them. And it is funny to think about, like, if somebody knew nothing about Christmas and you were like like if you were to write it out on paper, like, what does Santa Claus do? And he's like this old man who, and like he makes this naughty list and he like watches children and stuff like that. This movie takes that and does it perfectly, because this dude like wants to be Santa Claus. So he climbs up onto the roof of like this apartment and he's like spying on fucking kids. One of them, it's kind of like looking at like a penthouse and shit like that, and it's just, and he's like well, and he's like fawning over like this little girl, like, oh, she's such a good little girl, and you're just like, you realize weird, just on paper like how weird those, like, this person that we put up on this pedestal that we have like kids like worship isn't like, oh, Santa, oh my god. And it's like the ideas behind it, it's like he's watching you, he sneaks into your house, he
breaks
just,
into your home.
Yeah, he breaks
your
into
children objects.
Yeah, and he's like always watching you like the whole year to know like if like you're good or not. It's just like really weird.
He looks through a shocking number of windows in this movie. They lean hard in the peeping aspect of this guy, and that makes perfect sense. I agree wholeheartedly. He's a peeping Tom who watches specifically children and decides whether or not they are naughty. And
he's got the giant volumes, the like naughty and nice volumes that he takes specific notes in. And of all the kids that he like spies on and stuff, I found it odd that the only like definitively naughty kid, the Moss Garcia kid, is like the only naughty one is like the Latino kid. Like all the white kids are fine, they're all doing fine. But Moss is looking at nudie mags and cutting out centerfolds and shit, which I thought that was hilarious.
See, and like, also I didn't think about that, but in terms of what Justin's talking about, I agree. And it's like he's not just that. It's not just that he's creepy. It's that he's enlightening you to all of these customs that should concern you. It's like this should be like any one of these things, if a person actually did them, would be cause for concern. And he not only does it, he does it with like affability, and he's almost like up until the point where he starts killing people. It's kind of unclear that whether or not it's sane what he's doing, whether or not it's unclear whether it's malicious. You know what I'm saying? Like whether like his murder, obviously that kind of solidifies it, murdering people. But before that, he's just like, he leaves coal for the bad kids and he leaves toys for the good kids. When you first see him looking at those kids through binoculars, leaning against the wall like a fucking like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, he's like, you see him, where are you, my little darlings, he says, and then you see a child. I'm like, oh shit, I thought he was spying on women. This is fucked up.
But he then, does like creep on his brother and his wife.
He
does.
It's fucking weird.
He does. That's true. But like, I'm just saying, like, his, like, to a certain extent, his intentions with the kids at least appears to be, at the end of the day, reasonably pure, to be a true Santa to them. The problem is that if you do those things in real life, and that's what this whole movie is, if you do those things in real life, you're going to get fucking chased with torches, motherfucker. You're gonna be
Well,
like Frankenstein.
there's two moments in this film that I also really love. God, I think this movie like has some really great things to like chew on actually for such a like low budget, cheap kind of old school horror, like kind of not a slasher, but there's two moments that really made me think just about like society and like a person like this and just thoughts and stuff like that. So at the end of the movie, by the end of the movie, there's a neighborhood chasing him with torches, and they recognize that what he's doing is like not chill. Well, and at this point, this is when he's killed people, so that's a different turn as well. But there's actually two other like moments in the night where one, he shows up to this fucking hospital.
Right.
This random ass Santa Claus in this fucking rape van shows up, and the thing is it's strange, and like the initial people who confront him like kind of recognize it as strange, but then he brings a bunch of toys to the kids, and so by the time he's leaving, they're like praising him, like kind of course, but they're like playing into his fantasy, like, oh, bye Santa Claus, like, oh, thank you Santa Claus. Like, they're not treating him like this very strange man in this rape van who's shown up randomly, who doesn't even tell him like where these toys are coming from. And then there's another moment too where like people invite him, he's just creeping on this random like party, it's like business party or whatever, Christmas party, and people do the same thing. They like invite him in, and then by the end of it, like a couple people, they specifically show like their face like, this is weird, because he's like talking to the kids and shit. But most people are like drinking and not really paying attention. They're like, bye Santa Claus, like paying into like his fantasy. And it's totally one of those things, you get this dichotomy where you do see like some people, like at the first part of it, like most people just accept it because he brings all the toys. The party is the second one where it specifically focuses on some people's faces where they're like, this is not chill. And then by the end of it, people are chasing him with fucking torches. And just that idea of like, because you get that argument sometimes where like somebody does something and it seems nice, like in society, but people like are skeptical of it because they're like, this is strange. Like, why is this random man showing up? But then some other people criticize those people like, oh, you can't even like accept a good deed. Like, you can't just like, nobody can be pure. Like, nobody can just bring toys to kids. And you're like, yeah, they can, but it's still strange. And sometimes you get that tension between just people where like some people just want to accept like, yeah, somebody is good and they're just bringing toys, where other people are just like skeptical of that, like understandably so, like this is weird. And I loved seeing those situations, how it developed, because like it is weird, but he is bringing toys, so
but
it's
that's
hard
the
to,
thing
like,
is like
criticize him in the moment.
I don't know, man. What you're describing, like, there's no, in the moment, those people have no reason to be too wary of him. Like, it's Occam's razor. The most likely scenario when he's at that hospital is that this is like a Santa that's been hired or that's like purchased a bunch of toys for the kids and is now showing up to give out some Christmas cheer and all this shit. People do that shit. They just usually come with a card that says, I'm from, the Apple store, and we
They've been hired
collected a
to
bunch
do
of
that.
toys for tots. Yeah, it's weird that he doesn't provide that like shit, like identification or whatever, but he's giving them toys, and they're like, fucking, he's, as long as they're not waking up the kids for it, they're like, okay, well, we'll give the kids toys. We're not going to say no to that.
Yeah.
And then you have them at a party, and like, if I'm at a party and Santa Claus shows up at a fucking Christmas party, I'm not even blinking. I'm like, oh, somebody hired Santa. And Santa comes in. The only thing he does that's weird there is he says, if you're good, I'll bring you something you always wanted. But if you're naughty, I'll bring you something terrible. Which is like, that's where everybody's kind of like,
Cool.
okay, I guess. All right. And that's the only like inkling you have in that moment. Otherwise, he's actually a great party Santa. He's dancing. He's fucking...
Yeah, I guess it's the fact that too, like, people
Party.
found him creeping on the party, so it's not like somebody knew, like, oh, we hired. It's like a couple guys like run out and like, hey man, come on into this party. Like this dude like peered in through the window dressed as Santa Claus.
But First of all, those guys are drinking.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that was kind of like
Second of
the
all,
thing.
most people don't know that at the party. It's just those guys that know that they brought him in out.
Yeah,
They're the only people that know like where the Santa came from, so to speak, and they don't know the whole story. But
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, it's fucking Santa! It's a Christmas party. Everybody wants to see fucking Santa," and there's no reason to be wary of that. So yeah, you can be like suspicious, and there's no reason to be suspicious. It's just that like it's Occam's razor. The most likely scenario is that it's harmless. They don't
Yeah.
know that he's going to stab somebody in the eye with a toy soldier later on in the night. And if they did, I imagine they would not be doing dances with him. So I don't know. I see your point, but it's like I think that this movie more like the interesting dichotomy to me is it's sort of this Frankenstein story of a guy who means, on one side it's a guy who means well, who's trying to do something positive for the world. He's doing it in a really strange way, but he's doing it, and he's giving toys. He's stealing from these assholes that he works for, these toys that were promised to kids, and he's actually giving them to the kids. And he's like, whatever. But then on the other side, it's a story of a deranged lunatic who couldn't handle seeing Santa eat out his mom, and now is stabbing people outside of churches. So, like, to me, that's like the weird confluence of ideas. I don't know what to make of it, but I think it's interesting that that's the same movie.
Well, and that's kind of the same thing I'm talking about too. Is like the idea, like, you
just can't
want
know
there.
someone's intentions.
Yeah, you want there to be good in the world, but at the same time, it's so clear that this man is insane. He's crazy.
Yeah.
He's creeping on kids. He's like in their bushes. So you're like, well, that's certainly not okay. Like,
Why does he rub mud all over his face
Dude,
and then press his
That is
face
the
against the
wildest
side
scene
of the
in
house?
the movie.
It doesn't
I don't
make
know,
any
man.
sense.
He just makes out with the side of the. It doesn't do anything.
I
It
couldn't
doesn't
figure
work.
that out either, like where that was even coming from.
That's just like Daffy Duck antics. That's just insanity. But I love that because it shows like without like any sort of hesitation. Like, yep. In case you forgot, this guy's out of his goddamn mind. He's not.
Yeah.
He's unpredictable. You like this guy will do anything he wants to do in the moment. Anything that makes sense to him is gonna happen. So look the fuck out.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is he was specifically going after like one of the naughty kids. Like I think it was the kid with like
Moss.
the penthouse or whatever.
Moss Garcia.
Yeah. So the only thing is like I was like maybe there's some kind of lore or some tradition that I don't know about, like from the Krampus standpoint or from like a naughty kid standpoint. Like we all know like, oh, they get like a lump of coal or something. But like I was like maybe there's something to that, but that was very strange.
There is another kind of loose thread that this movie never tied up. So like he's obviously hung up on this fucking Garcia kid, and he wraps a present specifically for him, and he makes this like really weird tag that says like, for Moss Garcia, and it's got like a little creepy face with like mud on it and everything, and he sets it
It's
on
got
the
a snowman.
on the back stoop, but we never see Moss open the present. We don't know
Yeah.
what's in it. And I was like, I wanted to know what was in that fucking gift, man.
Yeah, I wanted to know too.
Yeah, I kind of want to know too.
I know.
Because
You
he
know
makes
what it is. We
Hmm?
know what it is. He
Do we?
went to the fucking under a bridge and dug up a bunch of dirt and
dirt.
put it into a sack.
That's right.
That's super lame.
I wanted to see the kid open it though. I don't think he
Yeah.
left the
I
kid.
forgot that he did, or like I forgot to connect those things.
I remember him
together.
doing that, but I just
I
figured
think
there'd be
I'm
more to
pretty
it.
sure, I'm like 95% sure that's what he was doing. But I also wanted to see the result of the kid getting that. Be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's why I'm wondering, like with the mud and everything, like is there something to that? Like I don't
Maybe.
know. That's very
He
strange.
also like in his list of things that Moss Garcia does wrong, he has like what was it, like poor body hygiene
Poor
or something?
body hygiene,
Maybe-
which was very strange.
Maybe it's like dirtiness is like, I don't know. You could. That's
Yeah,
the thing is like
maybe.
you're trying to decipher a madman, and that's like actually kind of engaging about this movie. It's like, what the fuck is this cartoonish villain fucking doing? What is he up to?
He also,
I didn't see him as too cartoonish. I thought they
I
play.
did.
I mean, like his actions, like were kind of, but they like he's like play him as very darkly insane. Like even when he does he goes into his job one day and he's like changing, and he like does this thing where he swipes his hand over his face, where he's like bipolar or some shit, or like he's like
he's telegraphing. He's telegraphing this, like, oh, I'm putting on my mask now, and my mask.
Yeah,
it's like the Batman. No, this is your mask, Bruce. This is your mask.
But
and
like,
it's like
even establishing him early, like one of the first things we see from him as an adult is spying on kids. So fair, like from the get go, like they're like, you're like, this man is darkly insane. Like,
oh, you're right, and it's not that I'm not saying that he's not that. He definitely is like insane, and like when you dissect what he's actually doing, it's very insane and creepy and unsettling. What's cartoonish is the way he behaves while doing it. Like when he gets up in the morning and starts doing like all these hilarious stupid stretches and shit, and he's just like wrapping red cloth around his like like he's acting like Nick Cage. It's crazy. He's fucking like he
dude,
goes.
They should do a remake of this movie with Nick Cage.
Dude, I would watch that forever.
I'd crowdfund that bitch.
Dude,
yeah,
we
put
need
that
to
shit on
pitch
the
this.
side.
Somebody needs to hit up Nick Cage on Twitter so he
Nick
can
Cage
get
will
on
do it for a free meal.
We need to make this happen.
Nick Claus.
No, but like he's when he's even when he's like actually staring at the kids through his binoculars, he's leaned up against the wall of his apartment building at like a 45-degree angle. It's so Wile E. Coyote. It's ridiculous to me. Like everything he does when he's not like in his role as, you know, like Harry the upstanding citizen, everything he's doing in his private time, he kind of tinges with this weird like and he even like he's like whipping Dancer and Prancer and shit in his fucking
his van.
And
you can hear the whip.
Kind of effective. Yeah, it's a little goofy, I guess. But
It's,
like,
it is.
I thought it was
both,
effective too.
and it's effective because it's goofy. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think he's like, it's obvious that he's insane, but he's doing things in such a goofy way. It's almost like, oh my god, what makes a guy actually act like a cartoon character?
Apparently, you just got to see Santa eat your mom out. That's it.
Well, yeah. I love how they mixed into like to play into his psychosis, because like when he's doing it in his van, like if you just saw him, like if they just filmed this to where he's doing it in his van, then it wouldn't be as effective. But when he's doing it, they like add in these whipping noises, and they add in like this kind of magical music, like this cartoonish music behind it. And I love that they play into it because it is so much more effective. Because you're just like watching. I was watching it like eyes wide open, like this dude is fucking insane. And like when he puts on the Santa beard, he like glues it to his face, and he starts like moving on it, like his true like transformation. He is like freaking out, like it's so joyful, but in a scary way.
Laughing hysterically.
Yeah, I was like,
oh
my god.
That bit in Breaking Bad. Do you guys remember that scene where Walt's like in the crawl space trying to get money out of the crawl space? He just starts losing his shit. That scene is obviously informed by a lot of shit that this movie doesn't have anything to do with. Yeah, it's like, okay, well, this is what pure, real insanity looks like. And that's the feeling you get from this character. He's cracked, but like if you just took that scene out of context with none of the other stuff, he just looks like ridiculous. He looks like he's just like laughing at a funny joke in the dirt. It's like, what is with this guy? Like, I don't know. I like it. I think that it's effective, but I also like if you take it sans context or remove it from context, he just looks so stupid. It's great.
Yeah.
He looks stupid and menacing at the same time.
So if I'm remembering right, I didn't take proper notes on this one, but there were 2 Santa specific kills, right? At one point he goes to a church and he's kind of like attacking, not like the CEO of his toy company, but like somebody who's in charge, who's like kind of yanking around a fundraiser. Toys. Yeah. So he stabs him in the eye with a toy soldier like knife, right?
Was that guy? I was having a hard time with this.
Yeah,
that guy was there, but he's not the guy that got stabbed in the eye.
No,
oh really?
Like the PR guy. No, I think the PR guy and his direct boss, who he met at that Christmas party and who were like skeeving over the hospital, they were just watching from the sidelines because you can see them talking later on in the movie. Like when they're at the
so
police
it was just the people mocking him then?
Yeah, it was just some people jeering at him as they walked out of church. Like, let's. I kind of didn't like that either. I was like, okay.
I thought it was that
Kill the
guy.
people you know are naughty. That's the whole point.
Yeah, I thought they were all people that he knew, but I might have to rewatch it.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I'm gonna look it up while you guys continue.
Certainly makes more sense. But so that was one Santa themed kill. He essentially stabs a guy in the eye with a toy soldier, but then he just like takes a hatchet to his head, which was still kind of cool. So he just kind of hacks all those people up. And the only other one I think was where he smothered a guy with his Santa sack.
Yeah.
Like where it was his sack full of toys, which was, I really like that scene too. It was really fucked up. It's because he first goes in and leaves presents for the kids, and the kids see him in this house and they're all excited that Santa Claus is there. So they go back to their room. When they go back to their room, the dude goes into like his parents' room where they're sleeping and smothers their father next to the mom who's like sleeping. You gotta be a damn heavy sleeper.
Who would not?
Yeah. This dude is suffocating.
Toys, like,
and it's like
writhing.
And that's like part of the tension in that moment is whether or not she'll wake up. But then he's like, it's taking too long. And he lets the guy get up for just long enough to stab him in the throat.
With a Christmas star.
A Christmas star, yeah. That's right.
Why would you have a fucking Christmas tree in your bedroom? But whatever.
Wait, you don't? You don't?
I have a Christmas tree in my pants, man. Come on. It's everywhere.
Asshole.
Randy just got his dick tattooed like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, man. It's got a whoop. My dick got branches.
Star right on the dick tip there.
So yeah, those were right. Those are the only two, right?
Yeah,
those are the only two actual murders. Pretty much. And other than that, there is the scene though, not a murder, but there is a pretty dangerous scene, I guess, like where, he's been found out on the not found out, like, but the murders have been announced on the news or whatever, and it's the next day. It's the day after Christmas, and he's walking through the streets, and some kids see him or whatever, and they all come out and say, "Oh, hi," and he starts to bribe them with toys because he knows he's like in deep shit. And then the kids' parents come around the corner, and they're like, "Oh shit, that's that murderous fucking Santa. That's got to be him. He's wearing I think one of them had actually seen him at the church." But anyway, so
he made his custom suit, and it's got like this like dark kind of fur around it.
Yeah, he's got like mink fur or something instead of fluffy cotton around the trim. But
also he's pretty dingy at this point.
Yeah. He's already failed to crawl down a chimney at this point.
I love that scene.
I did too. I like that too. It's like I love because that's I think right after the hospital scene where he's like, all right, my delusion's working out, basically, and then he gets to the chimney, and he's like, oh, I guess I'm too fat.
For a minute there, I thought that was going to be the end of the movie. Like,
I did
try
too.
To go down the chimney, get stuck, and then like freeze to death. Yeah.
That's what I thought too,
dude. They
should have
ended the movie that way. Well, I don't know. The way they ended it was kind of pretty good too, but
yeah, that's not a bad ending though. Honestly, if they give enough weight to everything up before. But I was like, that would be a little anticlimactic, but it's still kind of like that's like a urban legend. It's the ending of an urban legend topic. Not necessarily the ending of a movie, but definitely the ending of a campfire tale. Yeah. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying before, but
the kids and the parents.
Oh yeah. So the parents see him, and he's basically has this standoff where the kids are protecting Santa by like stopping their dads from. One of the guys has a switchblade and wants to stab him, and the kids literally protect him from being stabbed. I thought that was pretty fucking cool. Like, I thought that was a good idea. Interesting way of handling it. And then he just kind of like bolts, and then that's when the fucking mob starts, and all of a sudden all these people walking home from church or whatever have fucking torches. These from the torch store. It's Charlottesville up in this bitch, and they're chasing Santa Claus around. And it's like a Scooby-Doo fucking scene. Like, he's running his ass off, so there's tension, but he's like running like in between alleyways and shit, and like it's fucking hilarious to me. And then we get to the end, the real end, no. Then he goes and visits
He
his
goes to
brother.
his brother. Yeah.
After that, where his brother confronts him. He's like, "Oh fuck, I knew it was you." And then like his brother, who is by the way Dale from The Walking Dead. Did you guys realize that?
No, I did.
His brother
not.
is Dale from The Walking
Oh
Dead.
shit! No, not at all.
Yeah, and he's like freaks out and chokes out his brother, thinks he kills him. I even thought he killed him for a minute. I was like,
Yeah,
"Are they
thinks
really-"
he kills him and then drags him out to his van.
Puts him in the van.
So
which has a
that-
very
so that
nice
the
sleigh
Bob-
That
painted
family is
outside.
pretty fucked up.
Yeah, it is. I don't like that. That took me by surprise because like his brother is obviously like got some issues too, but he didn't seem murderous in the least. I
Not
don't know.
murderous,
You-
but he does like hate. He like loves
He hates
his
his
brother. He's like, you're such a like disappointment. You're such an embarrassment. But he also feels kind of responsible for him. Like, oh, you're my brother. Like, I gotta keep you in check or whatever.
and his wife is always like, "Be easy on him." It's like,
Yeah,
nope,
his
you were
wife-
wrong.
that was a weird kind of point in the movie that I didn't like. It didn't seem necessary. Like their tension between him, like the wife really wants to defend his brother. Like, oh, you're too hard on him. I was like, this is unnecessary.
They could have maybe trimmed that whole thing out, but I also kind of like the idea of. I kind of like the idea of him also like being a family man in some capacity and
Yeah,
being a fuck up and being kind of like a meek like pushover in real life, but then going like eventually like pulling a falling down and then fucking becoming evil Santa for real, and his brother
Yeah.
like totally calls him, basically.
it added to like his psychosis. Like, oh,
Yeah.
like the kids are gonna miss you on Thanksgiving. Like, why aren't you coming over? Like that he does have like this family, but it still like makes sense. Like he's jealous of his brother. He like creeps on him while him and his wife are banging, like another
Yeah.
window creep or whatever.
When I saw that, I was like, "Who are these people?" I don't think we knew who was his brother at first.
At
and
first,
I found
I thought it was a fantasy, and he was like
I thought that
envisioning
too.
himself on the couch with a lady, and then I was like, oh wait, no, that's apparently his brother, his brother's wife. That's
all
even
of the
weirder.
men in this, like every man in this movie is interchangeable. They all are like balding,
They look
long,
very
dark
similar,
hair,
yeah.
white man.
Slender
Jesus.
man, yeah, slender white
Give
dude.
a man a mustache or something. Jesus,
To get kind of
We
back
all look
towards,
the same, Randy. All white men.
I
skip
agree.
back
But
towards
Jesus.
the end of the movie, real quick, like his brother chokes him out, thinks he's dead, stuffs him in his van. Turns out he's not dead, but the windows rolled down in the van, so he just like cold cocks his brother, knocks his ass out, drives off, and of course the angry mob's still chasing him. And then he drives his van off of a bridge, and his van just flies.
yeah,
Because it's got a
Flies off.
sleigh
It's
painted
got a
on it.
sleigh,
It's
yeah.
like a Santa
he's been,
sleigh.
and he was saying
Yeah.
the end of the Night Before Christmas rhyme as well, which bookends the movie.
Yeah.
They start with it and they end with it, and him like away, dash away all, whatever that the line is.
yeah.
And then he flies off of through like a barricade, and I think it was into a river or maybe a ravine or something, but he doesn't fall. He just flies into the fucking
Yeah.
moon.
He never
and his
even
brother-
starts to fall. It like drives like straight off the bridge and like toward the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You
what
go,
do we make of that?
"Okay."
what do you guys make of that? I'm pretty
Dude,
sure it was a
It's Santa.
deluge.
It's like the most literal translation of Santa Claus, as I guess would make sense. Like he follows all the rules throughout the whole movie that Santa Claus apparently does. He like watches the kids, who's naughty, who's nice, breaks into your house, leaves you boxes of dirt if you're naughty, leaves you actual presents if you're nice. And apparently he murders your parents if they're shitty and they don't want to donate kids to or they don't want to donate presents to hospitals and shit. So then they just kind of like go full, like they just like fully lean into it even on the end, I guess. And like his rape van flies because it's a sleigh and Santa's sleigh flies.
Well, no, I mean, just like I was saying before, like the movie, it's more effective because it plays into his fantasy. So like when he's
Yeah.
whipping the deer, like if you were just to
Yeah.
have a shot of him whipping, there's no whip sound, there's no like magical Christmas noise behind it, then it's just like it's not
little
as
confusing.
effective. But to play into his psychosis is what it's like, the kind of like the unreliable narrator, I
Yeah.
I thought it was fucking I loved it. I loved it because obviously he dies. Obviously he kills himself. But like in his final moments, he's fucking Santa Claus. He has delivered the toys. He has punished like the kid, and he's got his fucking flying sleigh, and he drives off into the fucking moonlight on Christmas night when really he just commits a terrible, terrible suicide. Like I don't know, man. I thought this movie was like great from like portraying a crazy person. Like this is one of the most like effective like. This dude's fucking crazy, and I thought they did it really well. I loved the ending. I thought it was dope.
I thought the ending was great too. I don't think I hold it in quite the esteem you appear to, but I think that like that is such an interesting way to end your fucking Killer Santa movie. Like I can't think of a more interesting way. Like that's so unique. It's almost like fucking. It's almost like auteur in a way. It feels like I don't know. I'm struggling to come up with the words, but it's almost like it almost aspires to be a higher class movie than it is at that point to me. Like it almost like breaches the B movie construct and becomes something interesting overall.
You broke the contract.
Well, like from the craziness standpoint too, it plays into the idea of like a little bit of like what I was talking about before, but like how a crazy person will like try to defend themselves. So like if this guy were like trying to rationalize in his psychotic mind, like you're like the rules, like good kids get presents and naughty kids, like that's what everybody understands, like that's the rules of society. And like he's like the movie, like by ending it that way, he was like, of course I'm Santa Claus, like of course, like it's like his craziness like justifying itself, like his crazy mind trying to rationalize it. And I like of course I'm Santa Claus. See, you all doubted me, but really, like, I'm driving on this thing and I'm like flying away. It's like, it's just, it's the perfect end to this whole movie. Is constantly developing his psychosis, just how crazy this guy is, to a point to where he's so delusional that he's willing to drive off a bridge under the thought that he's going to fly away to the North Pole. Like,
I think I love that decision, and I also love the decision to not show the actual reality of the situation, but instead just let that be the ending and let it hang there. I think that's pretty daring for a movie of this caliber to make even the slightest amount of ambiguity. Like, yeah, I think that's pretty bold. So I applaud that as well. And I think you're right. Like that does make sense for his character. Like this whole movie is a character study. Like, and he follows his character all the way to the end. Does a good job.
Yeah, committed.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys need to tackle before we rate this movie?
Just one thing. I have a question. Do you guys understand what he's talking about when he's talking about the tune? He's like, I learned the tune, and it's my version, but
I was gonna bring that up like towards the end. It's just like another random thread that never really seems to be resolved. I wanted it to be, because he revisits it throughout the movie, and I fucking love when he first brings it up. He's at like the company party, and he's talking to his coworker, and he's like, I think I finally found the notes, the tune. I can play the tune. I know the notes. And his coworker's like, I got to tell you, man, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I love that too, because then he later brings it up again, and it's another situation where his boss again is like drinking or whatever, and they just kind of like brush it off, like, "Oh, you wily dog, you like."
Sing too. Oh.
Where the first guy, he's like clearly like, you're like, wow, you're fucking weirdo, man.
Yeah,
which I love that too, because it's just another. I think this movie does such a great job in the subtleties of developing like a fucking crazy person. Like, and that's just another one. Like, it's not a resolved thread, but it's showing the way like he is justifying himself. And I took it as like, oh, I finally found the tunes. It was kind of like I finally discovered like who I am. Like, I've always tried to play this song where, you know, I tried to stick with my interests. Like, he works at a toy factory because he's like obsessed with Santa Claus and shit like that. But really, it's gotten to that point where he has decided to like immerse himself as Santa Claus. So he's like, I found the note. Like, I know like how to play my own song. Essentially, is how I took it. Like, I've finally figured out I can't pretend to play somebody else's song. I have to like play my own song.
I think either you're doing like a really good job at interpreting the filmmaker's intention, or you're just polishing the hell out of this turd. It's one or the other.
I thought this movie straddles a line.
Yeah.
This movie straddles a line, and it's like that. That's pretty applaudable. Like that's laudable to me. Just the sheer fact that it can seem like the dumbest movie in the world and a worthwhile think piece on some other level.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Impressive. Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's rate this bad boy. Out of 5, Randy, why don't you kick us off? How do you feel about Christmas Evil?
I feel pretty good about it. Juice made some good points that emboldened my liking of this movie. I had a good time watching it overall, just like on a sheer like id level, just surface level stuff, which is kind of what I was anticipating. I know this movie predates Silent Night, Deadly Night, but I still like can't help but compare the two. Like, I really can't do it. Like, Killer Santa movies are always going to make me think of Silent Night, Deadly Night, always. And in comparison, I think these movies are almost like they're like counterpoints, or they're like counterbalances for each other. One is like spectacle and just like throwing whatever it needs to against a wall to make Santa murder a bunch of people in the most obscene Christmas-related ways possible, which is Silent Night, Deadly Night. And this one takes the other tack of really leaning into the psychosis of it all, and really like spending its time with that stuff more than actually showing the spectacle of murder. Like, I don't know. I like them both for different reasons, but I don't want to compare it to Silent Night, Deadly Night purely as my rating. I'll say that in my comparison, I like this movie better for one reason for sure, which is that it actually uses known Christmas songs as opposed to a bunch of like third-rate Steve Winwood.
Warm side of the
yeah.
I love that they didn't use free damn Christmas music in that movie.
Yeah, they're public domain. I don't understand that, but
it's always Christmas.
It's a strange
Christmas
decision.
Evil, I think we really touched on all the things I liked about this movie, which is I like that this guy is so clearly insane, and it's kind of dark, but it's also hilarious to watch him like exist in his machinations. And the ending is so interesting and so unique, and I don't know, it surprised me for sure, and I think it would surprise pretty much anybody. I think it's like leans into the Christmas spirit quite a bit, and like actually makes that a plot point instead of just a setting. I don't know. I think it's admirable. I'm gonna give it a 4.
Wow, 4. Okay.
Yeah.
4
I gave Silent Night, Deadly Night a 4 also, and I think I like them both equally, just for like entirely different reasons.
Nice. Okay. Juice, out of 5, how do you feel about Christmas Evil?
Yeah, I'm trying to think too, because I'm a little conflicted. I think I'm gonna give it a 4 as well. I'm gonna give it a 4. I was dancing around the 3.54 area anyways, but one of the things I'll just say I thought it like was a brilliant like study piece, like Randy said, into the psychosis. I share kind of the same disappointments. They obviously wanted to go that way a little bit. Like, they show a couple Santa kills. I mean, it's like specifically Santa, like, oh, he, strangles him with his bag or whatever, and the toy soldier. So it's like they wanted that intention. They didn't want to avoid it. And I just wish they would have leaned into it more. And I felt they could have done more of that instead of the things that didn't make sense to me, like the whole mud thing on the kid's door, like the sack of dirt. And, you know, I feel like those were missed opportunities to do some more kind of that stuff, the cool Santa stuff. So that was a bit of a disappointment to me. Also, this just seems like a really low budget film, and some of the editing, at least in the version I watched, was like choppy and like not good, and like so that certainly hurts it. I would love. I don't know if it could be pulled off now, and it's unfortunate that they couldn't polish it up more back in the day when they made this. Like I wish. Because I'm like, oh man, I wish they would remake it and give it like a good kind of budget, and like somebody crazy would play it, but stick close to the original. But I don't know if they could recapture a lot of the zany stuff that makes this film so appealing to me. I think if you had
Nick Cage and have it directed by like Terry Gilliam, then it would be fucking perfect.
So. Maybe one day, but I thought for what it was pretty solid. If it was just a little bit better, if they could have cleaned some up, it would like really blow me away. And it's just like, oh, so close to me. Like, oh, that editing's so shitty sometimes and stuff like that. But overall, as I was watching it, I was like really surprised, really impressed overall, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty great Christmas horror movie.
I'm gonna come in and give this a 2.5. I was a little underwhelmed, actually. I felt like it was a lot more half-baked than you guys did, I guess. So like, as far as the reasons for this man breaking, I feel like they very loosely lay it out, and then all of a sudden you're just sort of with this man who's an adult, and he's already a fucking crazy person. And so they don't really give you like too much backstory, which isn't that big of a problem if you just kind of roll with it. And what I do like is that they kind of lay out exactly why he's doing almost everything that he does. Because, he's just following the rules of Santa Claus, and he follows them like to the T, which is something that I hadn't seen before in like any other Killer Santa movie. Because like in Silent Night, Deadly Night, they give you like a lot of backstory, and they basically explain why Billy had no other choice other than to fucking break and become the Killer Santa Claus. Like, he had no fucking choice. And then when he does it, like, he just kills people for really no reason. He just kills people. So they're kind of opposites in that way, I guess. So I really like that they lean into the Christmas spirit, and also something we hadn't mentioned before about this movie. I really like the way it's shot. Like, I don't know exactly what like the technique is, but it's got this sort of like halo around any sort of like Christmas lights or like bright silver object. It's got this like warm halo around it. And that's something that you see in a lot of like Christmas movies, and it just kind of like leans into the Christmas feeling a little bit more too. And I enjoyed that aesthetic going into it. But there just wasn't enough payoff. Like, you've got this guy and he's got his rules and he's fucking crazy. And I love, like, there's a couple intimate moments with the character where he just like fully like has a breakdown on screen. There's one moment where he's humming some sort of Christmas carol, like right after the holiday party at his office, I think. And he's like holding this little toy in his hand, and he's just sitting there humming, and he like crushes it in his hands. And then the part that we mentioned before where he like glues his beard onto his face, and he's like tugging it and it won't come off, and he just starts laughing hysterically. And it's like such a fucking killer scene. So you're kind of like in it with this dude when he's there. I wish they would have pushed it a little bit further. And that fucking Garcia kid, I wanted there to be like a severed head in that box or like something fucking crazy.
Yeah.
If they just pushed it a little bit further, I think this movie really would have hit me where I wanted it. Kind of where I thought it was gonna. Yeah.
I need to make an amendment to my score. I'm going 3.5. I'm going 3.5 because I forgot you made a really good point. You made a great point, which is that the whole Prometheus for this whole thing, and I forgot to take this into account. The whole like start of his journey being that he saw his mom getting eaten out by Santa Claus.
His mom ate out Santa Claus.
Yeah, probably both. Probably both. It was the 70s. I just think it's too. I think it doesn't work for me. Everything is kind of meticulously laid out later on for the most part in terms of like why certain people are getting killed and things like that. But there's no specific reason for a kid to react that so badly that you become schizophrenic because of that. And that part, like, really just, I was like, that's it. Like,
especially when your brother's like, no, that's just dad.
Well, the only thing that supports it is maybe this kind of supports it a little bit is that you find out later, like, that the brother like has some problems too. Like, he easily gets aggravated, like he yells at his kids when his wife is kind of hassling him and then it gets to the point to where his brother like is willing to murder his other brother, or like the supposedly like sane one who didn't see the mom getting eaten out by Santa Claus, like, still has some problems. So it could just be like a family like psychosis thing. It's just this other kid had like this weird thing that kind of made him crack a little bit further as far as the Santa Claus obsession. But it seems like the brother just has as many like weird, like aggravating tendencies as the other one. He just doesn't push it. Obviously, I
don't know. He's not as insane as his brother. He has a fit of rage. Insane,
but yeah,
he's enrageable. I think he's Incredible Hulk to the Joker. Like, it's not the same thing. But Anyway, sorry about
that's. That was pretty much all I had to say. Anyways, I think we pretty much covered it. So with Randy's amended score, the aggregate is going to be a 3.3.
That's fair.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into the Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users have to say about Christmas Evil.
So, lucky for us, Christmas Evil is on the Rotten Tomatoes. Hang on, Rotten Tomatoes is being a big old bitch. It's on here, though.
If you haven't... You good?
No, go ahead.
No, if you were having trouble pulling it up, I was going to say I can pull it up.
No, I've got it. It's on here. So there, surprise, surprise. This is a low sample size.
Yeah.
But it's on here. There is no critic consensus. There are 6 critic reviews counted. 5.
Wow.
There's 6. My bad. So 6 reviews counted, and let me see on the audience score. There's only 2,000. So between the two, there's not a whole lot. So let's do the critic first. Critic consensus. There is none. Let's go around the table first. Rob went first last time. So Randy, what do you think the critics, whoever they may be, rated Christmas Evil?
I'm assuming that those are all or mostly from the time. I don't know that, but I'm guessing. So I'm going to put my money on low and say 35.
35. All right, Bob?
I almost can't begin to guess accurately. I'm just going to default to 69.
Yeah, okay. That's a wise choice. Especially, okay, so it's not certified because I think it only has, 6 reviews. I don't know how many you need, but it is fresh with a confusingly 83% fresh.
Confusingly 83.
I almost gave it away. My bad. So
I thought that might be what was happening.
Yeah, sorry about that. There are 6 reviews counted. 5 are fresh. I almost started to say it, but 5 are fresh. 1 is rotten for a total of 83%. Now, as far as when these were given out, December 15th, 2017, December 26th, 2011, December 26th, 2002, and March 18th, 2014 are the 4 that I can see on here. Some of the positives, let's see. None of these actually make sense. I'll read one, which clearly doesn't make sense. Even before Halloween, there was Black Christmas. It's like, I don't. This
That
isn't
doesn't
Black
have anything
Christmas.
to do with Christmas.
Great.
Evil.
You know what's the best review of a movie? Mentioning 2 other movies.
Also,
Here's my review of Jaws.
There's
Man, Close Encounter of the Third Kind and Indiana Jones are great movies.
none of these seem applicable. I don't know what's going on. So, overall, though, 83%. Maybe there's a fuck up on right. I don't know. Whatever. It's hard to justify 6 reviews, anyways. So, and I don't even see the one rotten. It's not listed on here, so I don't know where that is.
Rotten Tomatoes is fucking the dog on this one. Fucking the Rudolph.
So let's hop over to the audience score. Like I said, there's only 2,107 reviews on this. So let's go backwards. Rob, kick us off.
I'm gonna go with something obnoxiously high. I'll go with a 90.
90. All right, Randy.
80.
80. This one is impossible to pin down. 31.
Damn.
30,
What?
31 from the audience score with an average rating of 2.7 out of 5. So I don't know, man.
I don't know
It's
if that's the
impossible.
average, and yet the Rotten Tomato score is in the 30s.
Well, I think though, even if
It's
if
okay,
the
it's only
average rating is
30%
2.7 out of 5, exactly. So if you rated this, so Bob rated it a 2.5, I think that would be considered rotten. So
Yeah,
I
it's
think
considered
31% of the people are like, it was mostly rotten scores, but even if you scored it at a 2.5, that's rotten. So
Right.
so
It's a
that
C
drops the
movie.
overall. Yeah, so the average rating is a 2.7 out of 5. So we rated it a little bit higher. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a C movie, like you said. So yeah, that's old Christmas Evil.
Cooters. What do you think?
Oh man,
Ooh.
drop it, Bob.
Let me do it. Let's talk about Cooters. I have a vote for sure.
Okay,
Oh.
vote it. Oh,
I'm gonna go with Harry's brother. Fucking
Harry's
Cooter.
brother's the cooter.
Fucking
Why do you think
Cooter.
Harry's brother's the cooter?
I think
Wow.
he is the Cooter because he's like he seems to be moderately manipulative. Like when he's talking to his brother, like the tone and things that he says are like very negative. Like
Okay.
when he speaks to his brother, and also when he's speaking to his wife about his brother, like I think kind of when we were first introduced to his brother as an adult, he's talking to his wife, and she's like, take it easy on Harry, whatever, and he's like, well, he's just such a loser. Like I just don't even think anything I say to him is gonna be the right thing. He's just like such a loser. Like he just
really
like
hates his brother.
fucking
Yeah, he
comes
does.
down on his brother so hard, and then of course when his brother comes over in the end, he just fucking like tries to murder him immediately. Like he yells at his kids on Christmas Day. Like nothing that he does is like positive in any way whatsoever. And we just like, you get that shot of him just like doing push-ups shirtless. I don't know. He comes off as such a fucking Cooter to me. I'm not into him.
I could see it. I think it's hard to not give the cooter of the week to Harry, though. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
Understandable.
Frank, I think Frank sucks, but
sure, yeah.
but he doesn't spy on children.
Yeah, or his brother and his wife banging it out. I mean, that's a sexual
Yeah.
deviancy. You got the sexual deviancy on lock. I mean, watching your brother bang it out is not cool, man. That's not show.
Yeah.
Also, watching I mean, it's not shown, but it's kind of implied a little bit. Like he's watching this, I don't know what, like 10-year-old kid look at a penthouse, and even though
Yeah.
like you're not the kid's not like he's not jacking it. But I mean, the implication is there. I mean, what kid just like reads a penthouse? Like,
He's not. I didn't think about
He
that.
buys it for the article.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
So, I mean, the sexual deviancy is certainly on point here. And gotta hit him with the attire. He's got this, like, mink coat fucking custom Santa Claus, too, that gets all fucking dingy and shit when he tries to...
I think he did a good job on this dude. I think it's a positive. Obviously, he gets, like, stuck in a chimney and it gets all dirty. But before that, I think he did a pretty good job making it.
When you are a person who spies on children and you dress as Santa Claus, the Santa Claus costume's a negative.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's all about the implication.
I'm alone in my principles today. I see.
Principles might be alone for sure.
Also, I think just in his psychosis, it's not as strong as like some other, like just independently. I think it's because of his psychosis, but he's got like the arrogance of a crazy person, where he's like, you people can't understand me. Like even the whole like tune thing and him like kind of going on a rant to that guy, like, these kids need those toys. Like, you're not doing it. Like, he's like kind of talks down to everybody, and he like even his like coworkers, like, he's we're not no, he's not manipulative, but he's got kind of that psychosis arrogance where he's like, you just can't see it the right way. You can't see it like me. Like, we're making shitty toys for the kids. Doesn't that matter to you? Like, he's got this kind of like arrogance where he
takes pride in his work.
Yeah, his work is murdering people.
He takes pride in
spying on children.
Maybe we got the Cooter brothers. Let's combine them. The Cooter.
Well, they said the family definitely
Cooter brothers.
Even with the dad whispering into the mom's vagina. I mean, that's not a standard. That's not.
They're married. They can whisper.
No,
into whatever
it's
orifice
okay.
They
Yeah,
want.
they can, but it's just a little off. But so maybe there's just some. There's just some there's some tendencies maybe in the family. It's in the blood.
I'm gonna dip you in some milk, girl.
But Harry's definitely got to take the Cooter cake. But I could see the tendencies in his brother as well.
It's a Cooter. They all have the Cooter gene. The whole family.
Yep.
Just
it is
only
hereditary.
one of them is triggered. He has full blown Cooterdom.
Yeah.
It is hereditary. All right, let's go ahead and get into some trivia, Randy. Take it away, dog.
So we got a little bit of trivia. Some of it is actually going to be a little enlightening in terms of like the ending and things like that. Let's just start right from the beginning. The director, Lewis Jackson, came up with this basic idea. You're never going to believe this. This is the most insane. This is seriously the craziest trivia I've ever read. I did not see this coming at all. Okay? Prep yourself.
Okay.
Director Lewis Jackson came up with the basic idea for this film after smoking marijuana one night during the 70s and seeing a vision of Santa Claus holding a knife. Wow.
Truly inspired.
Fucking like somebody is on the cutting edge of reality with the fucking mind altering substances. You crazy, man.
Have you ever seen a crazy Santa Claus while smoking your ganj, Randy?
You know, I don't smoke the kind of ganj that causes you to hallucinate, but you know, to each their own, I guess. Seems like he had some shit that was laced to me, but I guess so. Let's see. When Harry slips on the street running from the mob, he really did slip, and Lewis Jackson left it in the film. He eats shit, by the way. It's worth saying. When he's running, he was running pretty fast. I was like, he's probably going to slip, and he busts his ass.
Yeah.
He's like another cartoon character moment, by the way.
I love that he was just like, we're using that. Because it does, like, it fits consistently with some of the other, like, specific choices that they've made in the film. Like you said, the cartoonish kind of thing.
He's a little hapless. He's a little hapless, and he's running around like Scooby-Doo, and he just trips over himself with a slapstick moment in the middle of a fucking mob scene.
Because, I mean, it kind of goes to the whole case of, like, him even, like, trying to go down the chimney and then, like, realizing, like, oop, nope, I can't actually fit down this chimney. Like, it's just, like, so kind of funny in itself. And it's, like, running through the fucking icy streets and you just bust your ass. It's just, like, not thinking.
Reality intervenes. Writer-director Lewis Jackson spent 10 years collecting all the Yuletide props seen in Harry's house. Moreover, it took Jackson 10 years to get this movie made. So he really wanted this fucking movie made.
Damn.
Project, it sounds like.
Committed.
Yeah, especially from getting inspired from just a vision of
just getting stoned, yeah.
Man, what if you had like Santa but like with a knife? Oh.
Especially, okay, hang on. 10 years. This came out in 1980. So he was pushing to make this film before Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out, this dude was fucking committed, apparently, before any of that was, like, really pumping. Like, he was, like, trying to get this shit made. So good on that guy, I guess.
Smoking that good.
That was owned by the producer R. Pressman, and many of the crew members doubled as. Oh, great! Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
All right, cool. The toy factory Harry worked at was owned by the family of the producer Edward R. Pressman. Many of the members doubled as extras. Members, rather, the factory workers.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Am I coming in clear? What's going on?
You are now.
You're touchy.
You're a little touchy. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll try it anyway. John Waters recommends this as his favorite Thanksgiving and Christmas themed film. John Waters. That makes perfect fucking sense.
It does.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Let's see. Though the success of Halloween, it was the success of Halloween that ultimately allowed this film to be made. It was actually written earlier. Accordingly, Lewis Jackson does not consider this film to be a slasher film, but rather a film that has more in common with Frankenstein. Which is pretty obvious how that.
Obvious, yeah.
Up. And then, while many people think Harry does in fact fly off at the end, apparently, he actually just drives off the bridge and kills himself. The explosion is heard, but people mistake it for the sound effects of Harry's brother rolling down the hill into boxes. Easy to confuse, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, there is an explosion sound?
Yeah, I didn't notice either. But apparently it happens when he's rolling down the hill, and yeah, people are confused about this.
When did he roll down the hill?
He got socked in the jaw, and I think when the car sped off or something. I don't know. Something happened.
Oh, okay.
I remember that. But yeah. Also, to answer a question from earlier, let me see here. The people that he kills outside of the church. Let's see, where is it? Well, anyway, I read here that it says they were just some his boss or some like randoms who were just taunting him slightly. Am I back?
You are now.
This is working great. Yeah, the people that he killed outside, the people that he works with, they were at the church killing, but they weren't the ones killed. It was just people taunting him. So for whatever reason,
okay.
Yeah,
strange.
Which I think is that's a failing to me. Yeah. Also, like at least make it your boss or the marketing guy who's
especially
taunting.
Since that seems like the reason you went to the church. I don't know how he knew he was going to be there.
That's what I thought. Yeah, like that's the whole reason he was there. Revenge, you know.
So did you guys know? And I feel like there's a really good reason you might know this. Christmas Evil is not this film's original title. Did you guys know that?
The title card.
The title card, man.
Better watch out.
It used to be called You Better Watch Out. It was also at one point called Terror in Toyland.
But I didn't even notice.
I don't know. Like I noticed, right? Like on the title card of the movie that we watched, it says Christmas Evil and an entirely different, more modern font, and then it fades away to reveal just for like a split second the original title. Like there's like a frame or two where you can see You Better Watch Out on screen. It's like the shittiest editing in the world.
The copy I have did not say Christmas Evil at all. It just said Better Watch Out. I'm like,
oh really? The one I watched says Christmas Evil in like some defont.com fucking face.
Actually, now
And then it just,
was
like,
one of
fades
them
and
like
shows-
candy cane shaped. Was Better Watch Out maybe candy cane? Maybe not.
I think it was
see-
just like solid red lettering.
I seem to maybe
White.
remember that briefly and just thought maybe it was like a tagline, you know, like Christmas Evil, you better watch out, and probably just dismissed it as like whatever.
Oh my god, this is hilarious. I'm looking at the poster for this movie, for Christmas Evil, as it was called in this particular poster. I don't know which release this was, but the poster says Christmas Evil, and the tagline, this is so fucking hilarious. The tagline is "The night he dropped in."
I love how terrible that is.
They are just aping Halloween so hard. It's
The night he dropped.
fucking funny. Even at the top of the thing, it says first came Halloween, then Friday the 13th, and now this Christmas, you better believe in Santa or he'll slay you. Oh, this is a great poster. Good job. Good job.
I love
poster
that
guy.
this dude just breaks into people's houses.
Yeah, me too,
Fucking
man.
breaks it.
It's just like you have this like wonderful mythos of a kindly person, but this kindly person, if taken purely for their actions, is a fucking creepazoid. I love it. Great. That's it.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah. Was
It's like,
that not clear? I'm sorry.
No, it is very clear now. Gotcha. All right, let's go ahead and round the show out with some horror news real quick. Bam. All righty then. So there's AMC has a show called The Terror. They had their first season out this year. I talked about it earlier. It's like a mini series that was renewed. Basically, it's like a turn of the century type deal. Like it's people trying to find a route from like India, and they get like locked in the ice. Like they're on their boats, and the boats get like locked in the ice, and then there are these monsters that kind of like come around and start picking people off one by one. Anyways, it's a good show. It was renewed for a second season. The name of one of the boats in the first season is called The Terror. So the second season is going to be set in World War II. I don't understand exactly how it's still going to be called The Terror, or if there's just going to be like, you know, a submarine that's called The Terror in World War II. Or I don't know how they're going to do it. Anyways, George Takei is going to be starring in the second season, which is interesting. He's going to be playing a former fishing captain and community elder. Set during World War II, the second season follows a series of bizarre deaths that haunt a Japanese-American community and a young man's journey to understand and combat the malevolent entity responsible. It's going to be a 10-episode series, and it's going to be airing sometime in 2019.
Damn,
cool.
that sounds really awesome.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning it before, saying you liked it.
Yeah, I like the first season a lot. It's like it's very much it's like a slow mover. Like you kind of get engrossed in the characters. There are several like really good, well-drawn characters, and then the monsters sort of comes towards the end, and the monster doesn't like fully deliver, but the characters are like so interesting. I personally didn't care that much. I don't know. I really really enjoyed it. So, you know, it's produced by Ridley Scott. It's got kind of that like alien vibe, you know, except they're not on a spaceship. They're on a boat that's stuck. So there's a lot of like slow moving, you know, dialogue heavy scenes. I enjoyed it. It's good. Watch it. Watch it, people. The Terror.
The Terror. I feel like I think George Takei's parents, I want to say, were both in Japanese internment camps during World War II. So I'm willing to bet there's going to be some of that in there. I hope that's right. Otherwise, that sucks that I said that. But I think that's right.
Hopefully, if it's wrong, at Randy, at him.
Yeah,
Slide
I will
in DMs.
apologize.
Next up, James Wan has been running his mouth. Running it. So he's talking about a bunch of movies that he's not directing, just producing. So The Conjuring 3 is obviously happening because Conjuring 2 made a lot of money, and the plot details have kind of been leaked, I guess. So James Wan goes on to say it's not necessarily based on an artifact like the previous movies, but it's based on one of the Warrens' case files. In it, there's a gentleman who's on trial for committing a murder, and apparently this guy is locked down in history as like the first time an American used like being possessed as a reason for murder. So it's not a haunting. It's not like a creepy doll. It's not the Crooked Man. It's like this dude who apparently was possessed and committed a murder. And it's
Law and Order paranormal unit sort of shit.
It's kind of coming across that way. It's the dude who directed The Curse of La Llorona, which was also produced by James Wan, is going to be directing The Conjuring 3. I haven't seen that movie. I don't really know if it's good or not. It had a trailer that was all over the theaters, which was basically just like a scene out of the movie, which I like. I like when they do that, and there's like solid tension in that scene that they used for the trailer. But it also kind of left me with this very generic, ghosty movie feeling. It didn't inspire me.
Why were you saying like James Wan is running his mouth? Is he like talking shit or?
No, he's talking about this movie, and he's also talking about the next thing that we're going to be talking about.
Oh,
he's talking about a lot of stuff.
He's just talking. He's not like shit talking. He's just talking.
He's literally just running his mouth. He's talking about a lot of stuff.
Well, that's got some connotation to it, like running your mouth. It's like a negative.
Sorry.
Okay, I was like, damn, what's he saying? I thought he was like talking shit about somebody or something.
No, he's not talking shit.
Real quick interjection. I was wrong about George Takei, but not in a bad way. It was him. It was fucking him who was in an internment camp. I didn't realize he was that old. He's in his 80s.
Holy shit!
I didn't realize he was that up there. But damn. So yeah, it was he who was in an internment camp. So obviously he's got some shit to say about it.
Interesting.
Anyway,
even then he would have had to been pretty young, right?
Yeah, he had to be. Looking at if it was during World War II, so 42, 40s, let's say.
Yeah.
He was born in 37, so he was like under 10, probably.
Yeah.
Wow, super little. Yeah, damn. That's hardcore. Mm-hmm. So we're getting The Conjuring 3. It's I'm not really that interested in it because it's not directed by James Wan, honestly, and it sounds kind of lame so far. I'm not.
Anybody who's excited at this point has not seen The Nun, so.
I'm not. Wouldn't have been excited anyway because Conjuring 2, man, didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I liked it.
I know you guys did, but I don't like Elvis that much, and I didn't like that movie.
So the next news article, Annabelle 3. Annabelle has already caught up to the fucking Conjuring. James Wan's talking about Annabelle 3 as well. So he goes on to say that Annabelle finally comes to the Warrens' home. So by that very nature of it actually being in the home, the story feels more like a Conjuring film. So it sounds like the new Conjuring movie isn't really going to be much of a Conjuring movie, and the new Annabelle movie is going to be more of a Conjuring movie. So I don't know if the Warrens are going to be like all up in Annabelle 3 or not, or if it's just.
So wait.
Yeah, dude, it's in their home.
Annabelle 3 is just going to be about it being in their home?
Yeah, so Annabelle the doll is, I guess it's going to be like in their home, and then like while the doll is in there, I guess it's going to like awakens like the other artifacts and stuff.
That could kind of be cool.
Room. Yeah.
But just make that the Conjuring 3.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Why, if you're gonna do an offshoot, make the offshoot the thing that feels different from the other two movies in the series.
The only thing I would say to defend that is like so far the Conjuring movie has been about like Warren case files, where it feels like Annabelle and Nun is just like fuck it, like about anything they want to make up. So.
No, it's established that Annabelle comes from or lives in their house at some point, so why would it not be part of their case file to have that object come into their possession. Why is that not a case file for them?
No, I know, but not if it awakens everything out. Like that sounds like so it sounds like the Warrens probably actually researched a man who claimed that he was possessed when he murdered somebody. So that's like an actual like case file, but I mean it doesn't sound like there's an actual case file of the Annabelle doll awakening every other artifact in their house. Is the only thing I would say to defend it.
Yeah. I don't know. Apparently this movie's already finished filming and it's going to be in theaters July 3rd, 2019.
Sounds like we'll be covering it.
So I didn't read this, but I kind of had this in my mind already. I guess one calls this the Night at the Museum with Annabelle, which when I was like reading the description of it, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, it sounds like fucking Night at the Museum. Like all these like fucking dolls and statues come to life and shit. I don't know, man. I'm not really into either of these. I don't really think they need to exist. And the Nun kind of sucked some donkey dick, so I don't know.
I don't know. The idea of like all the different things coming awake leads to like maybe some creative, hopefully, ideas. But
yeah. I'm more interested in the things. It's the other things in the room. I don't give a fucking shit about Annabelle, though.
No, I don't.
I don't need her to be involved. Just like I don't know.
Just by saying like, yeah, there's a bunch of shit in this room, and they could all like play off each other. Like that idea is interesting, but I have little faith based on what I've been given recently. So
I would much rather see like fucking Cabin in the Woods 2, where they like activate everything that's in the fucking basement area.
Exactly. That's what
have
I was
all those
thinking
fuckers
of,
chase them in the actual cabins. Like that's interesting. I don't need Annabelle to be up in that shit. Annabelle has had her fucking day. How many movies has she been in now? Fucking 5.
The amount of movies. We've had a movie every single year for like the past 3 or 4 years.
It's like
this year was Nun. The year before that was Annabelle Creation. The year before that was Conjuring 2. The year before that, I believe, was Annabelle. Like, this is unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, so unnecessary.
It's like they found this convenient side road. It's like this convenient, like, side stop or alternate way of making more and more money and bleeding a franchise to death, aside from the classic way of making like 12 Friday the 13th movies. You just call it something different and then make a trilogy of that something different and then call it a universe. Boom. Yeah. Now people aren't going to be fucking...
So hang on. Coming up, we got A Crooked Man, we've got Conjuring 3 and Annabelle 3, at least that we know of, right? Anything else?
Probably.
And The Nun 2? Oh my God.
The Nun 2, man.
I'm done with this shit, man. That's pissing me off right now. I'm like getting fucking irrationally angry about this.
No, it's kind of rational.
There is no reason to have a Conjuring related movie every goddamn year. That like this isn't fucking Marvel bullshit. Like there's no reason to have the next 5 years planned out to have a Conjuring movie every goddamn year. What the fuck is wrong with people?
You know that it's like as soon as this batch is done, if they realize, if everybody is having the same revelation that we're having right now, or having the same feelings about it, it's still not going to end. They're just going to reboot this shit. They're going to have fucking Zac Efron as Earl Warren, and they're going to fucking make more goddamn money. It's going to happen.
I feel like Zac Efron is like Randy's go-to for all like the shitty reboots he pitches.
Is he? I don't think I bring him up ever.
Really? I feel like that's a trend, but I could
plug in Miley Cyrus
existed until I watched a Community. I watched a Community episode circle like 2005 or something, and he reminded me he existed. So I was like, oh, shit.
Well, that's it for the news. That's it. We got more shitty movies that we're probably going to be talking about in 2019. Hopefully they're great. Hopefully we're wrong, and they're all great. That would be nice.
We're praying for you.
I praise God for you, brother. I praise God for you. That's going to do it for us here at Straight Chilling Headquarters. We're going to be back next week with our last episode of yet another glorious year. Next week, we're going to be covering our top 10 movies of 2018. So strap in, get ready. We're going to be covering the best and the worst of the year. I'm looking forward to it. Justin's going to be in town.
In
alive
town.
and in
Whoa.
person. I'm loving it. It should be fun. It should be a good time. A good time.
It should be, but it probably won't be.
It'll probably be the worst
Yeah.
fucking day of the year.
Top
Skip
10. We've been hyping
pass.
this episode for months now.
Yeah.
Ever
We've been
since
talking
Halloween
about
dropped.
it. We've been talking about it. I don't know. I always get a kick out of making a top 10 list. It's fun. I really like it. I like doing
Top
it.
10. You guys should hit us up with some of your top 10s. Let us know what you're thinking. Maybe we
yeah.
can rattle some off on the top
Yeah.
10.
Compare and contrast. Yeah, if you've got a list, send it our way for sure. Let us
Yeah.
know. Let us know. What
Guard it jealously, though. Don't discuss it with anyone until we get the chance to mine it for podcast gold.
That's going to do it. We'll be back next week, like I said. Until then, you can rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter at STR8_chilling. We are on Instagram at straightchillingpodcast.com. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. I think that's it. I think that's it. If you want to hit us up on Slack, just let us know. I'll send you the link to do so. We talk about all kinds of fun shit week in and week out.
Subscribe on YouTube
Yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube.
so that we can start pitching YouTube at the end of this. Follow us at YouTube.
Actually, have a link. Yeah. Until then, you just have to search Straight Chilling Podcast on YouTube, and then you'll find it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got to show. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays, whatever you choose to celebrate or not celebrate. Enjoy yourselves. And until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.